Hi guys, it is still a dark, gloomy day here in the end times in paradise, over here in Garfield, Texas. But we're going to go, I don't even know where we're going, some snowbound, probably, I'm guessing somewhere up in New England. We'll find out in a minute, where I have the great honor of bringing the newest voice to Voices from the Doomosphere. And we're going to be talking to my old buddy that a lot of you are already familiar with, Gary from Inmendham channel. And we're chirping, well, we hear some chirping in Gary's background. Anyway, guys, I don't know how to describe Gary. I'm going to let him do it. He is he is a different voice from the usual crap that we hear on YouTube. So, Gary, I want you to come on and say hello to the tribe and answer the question. If you met me at a party and I walked up to you and said, "So, what do you do?" Take it away, Gary. Say hi and tell us what you do.
Yeah, well, I live on planet Earth, and what you do doesn't. It's what you think that matters.
There you go. How do you respond to that question? Don't you? I hate that shit. That what do you do? We know what they mean. What do you do to rationalize your existence in the dominant paradigm?
Well, I don't have to rationalize mine because I would argue that rationalizations are usually just excuses. And I don't make excuses in the sense that I'm fragile, I'm human, I'm not perfect, but I certainly know that I'm supposed to do the best I can. And the best I can is to prevent as much suffering on this shithole planet as I can. And that's what I am about doing. And otherwise, I spend some time eating and shitting and entertaining myself as necessary. But otherwise, I am kind of preoccupied with the idea that this nonsense must stop. This attrition, basically nature kills children 100 to 1 to adults. It mass murders children every day, and it's not acceptable. That's a simple answer. It's unacceptable.
So your answer to that, obviously, as mine is, I'm assuming, don't have children. Children that were never born will never suffer.
Right, and stop other people from having them as best you can. It's not just about what you're saying, oh, don't rape women. That doesn't solve the problem. Me not raping is not the problem. I got to stop the rapists.
Well, let's make, just for full public disclosure, I'm going to take a wild guess, Gary, that you are not a breeder yourself.
No, I even as a kid, I found the notion of distracting my life playing with children to be worth the vomit. I mean, I could imagine no greater horror than spending my life talking baby talk and worrying about whether the kid is going to stick his head in a plastic bottle and suffocate or something. I mean, I just had no interest in the whole idea of being responsible for another feeling creature's welfare.
So when did you first come into your anti-natalist beliefs? How old were you?
Oh, well, the anti-natalism I was born with, I would argue. I mean, I just never even had a moment where I considered the idea of having a kid as anything but a horrible, awful idea. So I was always personally anti-natalist. When I became anti for my broader picture of life itself, I'd probably say somewhere 10, 11, 9, 10, 11, yeah. Somewhere in that age is where I became totally disenfranchised with any notion that I was involved in any kind of sane project. I realized adults were out of their minds. Everything was a lie. There was no God. There was no Savior. There was nothing. This was just, you're totally at jeopardy. Any minute you can be totally fucked, get cancer, and die in a horrible way. You're totally vulnerable for absolutely no reason except these idiots think it's a good idea to play a really dumb game with my welfare.
The idiots being, in this case, the breeders, or just any other human on the planet?
All the players, anybody who had any idea that nature or life itself was anything but a sadistic, evil, competitive, moronic game of, it's like even as a kid, you kind of figure out that some games don't go anywhere, like King of the Hill, like it really doesn't work. More kids end up broken and damaged and beat up than the one kid standing on top of the hill for 10 seconds and saying, I win. So there's always more attrition, more losses than there are gains. It's a totally inefficient game. It's not worth playing.
So the best thing is clearly not to continue the game.
Yeah, clearly the whole, like I said, it goes all the way to the DNA. It was always a bad idea. The whole thing is idiotic. It's premised on a notion of create a bunch of something, hundreds of them or millions of them, it doesn't matter, and kill 99% of them. It's just plain stupid as an idea.
Okay. Now, would you say a lot of people in the rabbit hole I am in? I'm in what I call the eco-Nazi, depressed collapsitarian rabbit hole, for lack of a better term. We talk a lot about human extinction. Now, I am a big fan of human extinction. I am on record as in full support of the extinction of the human race. Do you share that philosophy with me, or do you think there's something worth fighting for here?
Well, certainly, I'm for the extinction of humans, but I would think it would grotesquely irresponsible for humans to, with their intelligence, to bail out and leave the planet to the dinosaurs. I mean, this is a bloodbath. It's a friggin' meat grinder, and to leave sentient organisms. I mean, do you really think the planet Earth would be a better place without people? I mean, at least we have killed a lot of organisms, so we spared some organisms the fate of dying multiple times to finally become an adult. I mean, for every one sea turtle, 10,000 have to get killed for one. I mean, the attrition numbers in nature are obscene. And for us to sit there and bail out and say, let's go extinct and we'll just leave the planet. We'll leave all the chimpanzees and the gorillas and everything else to keep killing each other and dying of polio and suffering for nothing. No way, you can't do that. First, you have to have a plan to sanitize the planet.
So, well, I think we're following that plan. So you're not only a fan of taking humans out, but any other sentient being that you're. I mean, a chimpanzee's life is so miserable.
Like I said, the whole idea of the DNA molecules function is pointless competition, pointless carnage. Kill, kill, kill. Kill 99 so one can spend 5 minutes, having a good orgasm and dying. I mean, it is just an insane economics. There's no viable economics here.
So you don't consider yourself on any level an eco-Nazi?
I'm an eco-Nazi in the sense that, yes, I like the Nazis wanted to exterminate the Jews. I want to exterminate everything.
Would that even include the plant kingdom? The plant kingdom is very voracious.
There's no point in leaving any remnant of this DNA. So we evolved from plants, essentially. Okay, that came from a green slime of some kind. And why leave it here to sit there and perhaps fall into the same trap? I don't think there's any likelihood it would ever reach human life again, because I think that was a 1 in a trillion, gazillion improbabilities. But no, I wouldn't leave anything alive, anything that could possibly, grow back.
Well, it seems like we're doing a pretty good job of that, don't you think?
I'm sorry about this phone thing.
I like your ring. It sounds like a circus merry-go-round, which is certainly an apt description of the planet.
All these assholes are calling me right now. I never get called like this. And I can't get the phone to turn off.
Kill it!
I just unplug it.
Kill it!
Just unplug the phone.
Yes, the first thing we should kill is all the smartphones.
Well, I have dumb phones actually, but
oh, that was a landline. That was
and the retarded phones as well. It's actually Magic Jack, but anyway. It is essentially a landline, but not across the land. Anyway, I'm sorry for the interruption. It had no,
No, that was a classic interruption. That was an absolutely perfect interruption for this particular conversation. I cannot think of a better interruption than that.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's not like I think humans have done anything constructive with their presence here, and anything good they've done it by accident. So I have no love for humans at all, but I'm technically an ethicist. It's life spelled backwards.
Yeah.
And I coined the phrase, of course. And so, I'm more than anti-natalist. I'm anti-natalist plus, in the sense that all life is a trap. It's just a trap of attachment and loss, and that's all you're going to get out of it. You get attached to things, you watch them die, you watch them suffer, and then you get killed. It's just a really dumb idea. I wouldn't impose it on a dog.
Now, was this a natural progression? Did you start with humans and then dig deeper into the layers of the onion and come up with the antinatalism plus, or did you work backwards from humans or up towards humans?
Yeah, no, I was a bit of a nature boy as a kid. The people used to call me Tarzan and stuff, and so I had I had almost a reverence, or nature was almost a religion to me. And then I realized how it's all made out of blood, and we just don't see it. We don't see all the birds that fall out of the nest. We don't see all the carnage, all the death, and because it gets eaten before we see it. And so so I first realized that this isn't about humans being assholes. This is about the fact that this game is unacceptable. Like I said, just thinking about all these other animals and the insane attrition numbers. Kill 10 lion cubs to have one lion. If I had to kill them, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So how can it make any sense? How many are you going to go out and bash a baby elephant to death? Are you going to do the killing of the 6 for the one that survives? I certainly wouldn't do it.
I need to ask you at this point, are you a vegan?
Yeah, well, I'm a vegetarian. I mean, I don't play with silly, are you a general or a sergeant or a captain? I just don't see any point in that kind of bullshit. I'm obviously for, as a philosophical position, nobody should eat any meat unnecessarily. But if, technically, if somebody brought a raccoon to me that was killed on the street,
yeah.
It's not that I would eat it, because I have no personal taste for meat, but I'm just saying I wouldn't fault somebody if they ate it. I wouldn't say, oh, you're violating some ethics, you're eating a dead thing. No, it's perfectly okay to eat something that got killed by some other hand than your hand.
Yeah.
So as long as you kill it, why let it go to waste would be my argument. So there's this idea of religious veganism. I think it's just nonsense. The point is, don't do anything to contribute or incentivize the torture of animals for human consumption.
Okay. So your advocacy for eliminating all life on Earth, just I just want people, I think I'm understanding it correctly, is the reason for that is the best way to eliminate suffering is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Just never let it start. I mean, and that's the best way to fix it.
Yeah, and it's worth a ton of Band-Aids. Is the thing I always add to that phrase. But yes, obviously prevention is the smartest thing to do. So yes, that's what you do. So obviously, there's no good that can come. Again, if there was some possible viable way you could apply this consciousness thing and say you can win, you're not made to win. You're made to be hungry and dissatisfied. That's what the DNA molecule wants. It doesn't want you satisfied. Satisfied organisms don't go out and conquer. They don't climb the hill. So it wants you dissatisfied and hungry. And that's the state of things. And this idea that you're going to be able to maintain anything called comfort, it's a silly notion, and it's always going to be at too high a price.
What is the too high a price that we're paying for being human on this planet?
The suffering of all the human beings that die in horrible ways, all the kids that get cancer. I mean, you could just point out all the ways that people die in horrible ways. So you have all the human suffering, all the people starving, all the people being economically exploited. That's all a price tag that we're all causing it by our comfortable existences and our Western lifestyle. We're exploiting those people. We're putting them into slavery. It's all the system we're part of. And then, like I said, the bigger numbers are the natural numbers. I mean, you can just go on and on about every kind of organism. Octopuses are fully formed and fully sentient at birth, okay? And nature kills 10,000 of them to make one octopus.
Do you know that octopuses are one of the shortest lived species of animals? I mean, 1 or 2 years. They don't live as long as a rat.
Well, they do about the same as a rat, actually. It's about 3 years, but, I'm quite quibble.
Yeah.
Obviously, but they lay 10,000, some of them lay up to 10,000 eggs. So obviously, in 3 seasons, that's 30,000 killed children for 2 that survive. 2 survive. Out of all those, just 2.
Yeah, that would be the math. So,
Right.
who are your? Did all of this? Where did all of this philosophy come from? Do you have some philosophy? You sound.
To completely a reverse thing, you know what I mean? I didn't have any idols at all. I just saw all the assholes. So it's exactly a response to the prolific number of assholes. So I'm basically just the counter argument to all these religious kooks and all these fanatics and all these truthers and all these justifiers and all these rationalizers and all these silver lining assholes and all these spiritual mumbo jumboers. All that crack shit is what I'm a response to. So I didn't need any mentor. All I needed was to watch human beings be complete fucking assholes, and that was all the information I needed. The right answer.
I call it the clueless fucking morons is my term.
Yeah, well, it was always idiocracy, but it's obviously gotten idiotic.
Yeah, all this. My term for the Anthropocene is the Moranocene. That we are in the middle of the Moranocene. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, well, it all depends on well, whatever how hard and how extensive the definition goes. But yes, I would argue that even the atheists aren't really atheists. No one's taking any account for their lives. So yes, 99 out of 100 people, maybe it's 999 out of 1,000, don't really get it. They've never climbed out of the maze, looked down, and figured out what the game was about, which was absolutely nothing good. It's just a selfish, hungry, horny game. Dumb, dumb, dumb all the way down.
So that is the definition of the game of what? Just the game of being human, capitalism, global industrial society?
It's a game in a DNA molecule.
The game of the DNA molecule, of course.
We're just the structure protecting a DNA molecule, okay? The dumbest part of us is our little sperms for males, and the dumbest part of a woman is their little egg. And that's the entire rest of the structure is the tank protecting the seed. Okay, the rest, everything else we do only exists to protect the stupid frickin' seed.
That pretty much that pretty much sums up evolution in one sentence. So you're saying that all of these that you've just formulated all of this philosophy just by looking at global industrial society and the way people are comporting themselves inside.
And also looking at nature and looking at this false notions I was fed as a kid, this idea of Mother Nature and oh beautiful for spacious skies and all this sunset bullshit and all this stuff. It's all blood and guts, and I was sold this lie that the blood and guts is okay, that it's all an acceptable price to pay for this wonderful little ability to sing a little song. Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. I mean, it's trivial crap.
What? How old are you now, brother? We look to be about the same age.
Yeah, 58.
So am I. All right, we are both 58 years old to the year. We both we're white boys, 58-year-old white boys. I'm going to guess that you probably led somewhat of a. I'm going to take a wild guess that you were probably like me, didn't suffer a whole lot of want in your life growing up, and you were probably well fed and well educated, and you probably tried a few years in the system. Is that correct?
No, I guess I wouldn't say that. I had kind of a weird. I was born in New Jersey, and then right after we were born, had a twin sister. After I had three sisters altogether. But right after I was born, we moved to Louisiana, so I grew up in the South with the morons. I'm sorry, but technically, you're
I grew up in Georgia, so yeah.
Yeah. So I grew up in the retard belt, and the sadistic, lunatic, say white male or whatever you want to call it, the racist. It was just plain freaking stupid and moronic. So I had absolutely no friends in Louisiana because I mean they were all retarded, So so
was that Baton Rouge by any chance?
What
was it? Baton Rouge?
Oh yeah, it was Baton Rouge. Yeah.
I took a wild guess. A wild guess. I've had rants about Baton Rouge, Louisiana. You'll have to look them up. Go to my channel and put in Baton Rouge. I have chosen Baton Rouge, Louisiana as one of the most clueless fucking towns in the United States of America. So when did you get out of Baton Rouge? Did you go to college there?
No. When I was about 7, I was going to go to LSU for college, but I ended up with an anxiety disorder. I never went to college, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of things changed in my life, got fucked up, and, blah, blah, blah. But all that personal shit doesn't matter. It has really very little to do. I was already the person I am.
Yeah.
By the time I left Louisiana, I already knew I was in a trap that, that this game, I mean, I knew that my parents were really nice people. Yeah. But I knew they were clueless, okay? I knew they were just role-playing. I mean, I could see, my father was a chemical engineer, and he loved his work, but I could see, he'd like to go fishing, he'd like to do this, do that. He didn't really want to do this family thing. And everything was just pretense. You go to the fake church and do the little fake believing, and there was no sincerity in anything. It was all pretense and robes and bullshit. And so I already felt as though I was in a prison, literally, and I was just trying to find a tolerable way to do my time in Attica, But that's exactly how I felt every day of my childhood. I felt like I was in prison.
So did you ever try to play the game? I mean, the 9 to 5 bullshit. Do you have any experience in that, or have you always been an outlier?
I started working when I was 11 years old. I delivered newspapers, and I understood what money was, and I saved my money, and then I got a job in the restaurant when I was 15, and so I was in the game, and for a while there, I was interested in being stylish and being attractive, and playing the game. I suppose I could have been corrupted in the sense that I could have maybe found something charming, you know what I'm saying? In the sense I could have found a way of life that where I didn't feel like I was, but I'd also figured it's all a trap. Like I said, it's like love, it's a trap, it's all a trap where it's just gonna lead to pain. And so in some sense, when I became, like I said, I got this anxiety disorder, so I became a bit of a hermit, and that sort of saved me from the liabilities of living in the real world. So. I think I was always doomed to be a bit of an isolationist.
So pretty much, I'd say you've never done well, we know you haven't done the kid trap, but have you ever fallen into the marriage trap?
No, I would never get married. I mean, I knew that. That's another thing I knew when I was like 7 years old.
Oh, you had that figured out at 7 also.
I mean, I was already an atheist, so to speak. You know what I get? I was already a really pretty devout atheist by the time I was 7. So I already knew that marriage was just another pretense. It was another fake thing you do. You say these idiotic things like, I'll love you forever, I'll do this, I'll do that. You make promises you know you can't keep, and you're just like, why the hell would I ever do that? All I'll say is I I love you to somebody. I don't mind saying that, and I'll do the best I can. But I'm not committing to some kind of life contract. What the hell would I do that? We can enjoy each other while we enjoy each other. If you get sick of me, or if I start to smell, or I'm stinky, yeah, then leave me. You're damn right. Just get the hell out then. Yeah, you have no obligation to stay with me.
Now, obviously, well, I don't know, maybe it's not obvious. I would think, I make no bones about it, Gary, that every Thursday I do what's called my depressed collapsitarian whine. I have suffered from depression, going back at least 40 years. As you're mentioning an anxiety disorder. Is that part of a bigger depression that you suffer from? Or?
I don't make any concessions to this idea. I'm obviously depressed because the world is a horrible place and people are suffering unnecessary and animals are suffering unnecessary, and it's depressing. But my philosophy has nothing to do with being depressed. I can still jerk off to almost anything. So I still have lots of passion, but it's certainly a downer, okay? It's a bummer to live in a really imperfect, sloppy, dirty, smelly, stinking cesspool. I mean, rowing your boat in a cesspool is just no fucking fun. So yes, I'm a little down because this is as much of a game to be playing, right? I don't like being on the fucking rickety roller coaster, right? I don't like a roller coaster where the wheels are sparking and it's bouncing off the track. Yeah, I don't like that. That's not a good time for me. So yes, I'm consequentially depressed, but there's absolutely nothing about my general nature that says I'm a depressed person. And so, well, on that note, you call yourself Humpty Dumpty. Now, in my book, that's sort of a negative metaphor. That means you fell off a wall. You're the broken fucker. I look at it exactly the other way. I climbed up the wall of the maze, and I the game, okay? I'm the one not broken. It's these suckers playing the stupid game. They're the idiots. I mean, animals don't know any better, right? Lion kills something, it's because he doesn't know he's causing pain, right? Animals don't know they're causing harm and suffering and all this stuff. Humans know. You know what I mean? They have no excuse for playing a dumb game. No excuse.
Well, they seem to find all sorts of excuses.
Well, I'm saying it's no good excuse.
Yeah.
Excuses are religious crap. The religious crap are insane reverence for nature. I'm just doing what nature calls, born free to kill all your children for absolutely no good reason because you say so. I mean, it's stupid. Nature sucks. Smell the blood.
Back off from your microphone just a tiny bit when you get yourself worked up, brother.
Yeah, it couldn't hurt.
So tell me about how did you ever get? You don't seem like even less than me. I just don't see you as a kind of person being active on social media. Whatever gave you the germ of an idea to start a YouTube channel?
Well, I never would do anything called social media. I'm far from being social.
I know it. So what are you doing on YouTube?
I really enjoyed calling assholes assholes. So if that's being on social media, then fine. But no, I've always been a social critic. I was complaining back when I was complaining my whole life. Even when I was, when I felt like I was in jail as a kid. I mean, my family used to make jokes when we'd be driving on our family trip somewhere and I'd start complaining. And they'd all at once, they'd all go, complain, complain, complain. Because all the fuck I ever did was complain. I always thought everything was terribly underdone. Everything looked like a raw piece of shit to me.
Well, you haven't answered my question yet, brother. As I say, you sound like the last person I would have thought would ever have started a YouTube channel. What possibly?
I'm not doing it to be social. I'm doing it to fucking tell assholes they're assholes. I'm doing it to change the fucking world. I'm doing it to get people to give a fuck and be rational. I'm telling people you're irrational assholes, and I'm looking for them to argue and give me their fucking lame excuses for why it's okay to be an asshole, why it's okay to murder, why it's okay for nature to mass murder children. Tell me why. Explain to me why it's okay for nature to mass murder children.
So that was your impetus for starting your YouTube channel. You've been doing this for what, over 10 years? You've been doing this?
It's because I hate this fucking shithole, and the only way it's going to get fixed is somebody has to fight the war. So I'm going to fight it. I'm going to pick up a gun and I'm going to start shooting those fuckers.
Be careful. We don't want the men in black coming after you, Gary.
I'm just saying, they've already been after me. I mean, I'm on the FBI watch list.
Oh, are you really, or are you joking?
Yeah, because I actually told a judge to fuck himself. Of course, I didn't say that, but I said that without saying that. But yes, I mean, it's this fucking idiotic system, these fucking pious retards we have running our frickin' country. It's disgusting. These lying scum, politicians.
Well, obviously I need to, at some point, I guess this is as good a point as any, I'm gonna say 2 words and let you go off. Now, you might want to move back a little bit from your microphone. I notice when you're getting worked up, your words are getting chopped off. Donald Trump.
There, moved the mic.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I have a title on my. I changed the art on my channel page to reflect the fact that yes, let the Trumpies get what they deserve. Now they've already got it, right? I mean, they got this preposterous tax bill that just basically is going to make the rich richer. So all these morons who thought Trump was going to kill all the Mexicans, he's sold them out. He doesn't hate Mexicans. He doesn't hate imported people. He doesn't hate, let's bring in more poor people to drive wages down further. He's for all that shit. They bought the crap. They bought the crap that he gives a fuck about Bibles and religion and all that shit. He's a fucking obvious. He's a debaucherous fucking womanizing piece of scummy shit that never even paid taxes. I mean, for fuck's sake, he's wrong on so many levels. He's a retard. So yeah, let the fuckers get what they deserve, which is a broken civilization. We deserve, we so humiliated the human race with this idiotic 2-party system that's just from frickin' hell. I mean, the sellouts on the Democratic side, the sellouts on the Republican side. Disgusting. Special interest bullshit.
What do you think the future holds for Donald Trump?
Well, he's going to get what everybody gets, which is going to die. So good. I hope he gets it as bad as he can get it. He's such a fraud and a fake. I mean, obviously the man can't have $9 billion. I'll give you simple logic. Okay, he had $3 billion when he went bankrupt. Okay, and that's when he took 1 year, he took a $2 billion loss. So that brought him down to $1 billion left in assets. And since then, he hasn't made that money back. And that's why he doesn't pay any federal tax in the last 17 years. He hasn't paid any federal income tax. So he hasn't made the $2 billion back yet. So the best he could be worth is maybe $3 billion. And he claims to be worth $9 billion.
He just officially dropped 200 points on Forbes' list of billionaires yesterday. Did you read that?
No, but it's like I said, Forbes' list isn't based on any real data, so it's just a pile of crap, too. I mean, all these guys can have a ton of debt, and Forbes ain't going to know shit about. Trump has tons of private debt, with a bunch of foreign banks.
I can only imagine if you really untangled all of that. So I take it you're not registered to vote.
Well, no, of course I'm registered. I'm not. This idea of this idea that you can just walk away and say, I'm not going to be a rapist, and now you fix the problem. I'm not going to litter, I fix the problem. I'm not going to abandon my pets, I fix the problem. No, you don't fix anything by walking away. You fix it by fighting it. So I'll always fight, I'll always vote, I'll always be a player as best as I can. I'll always say there's always a dime's worth of difference, and there is a dime's worth of difference, for fuck's sake. And in the case of Trump, there was a mountain worth of shit difference. Hillary Clinton is a scum piece of shit, but she was sweet smelling compared to fucking Trump.
So you voted for Hillary?
Well, I actually couldn't vote in the last election because I vote absentee, and these Republican connivers I found out that my vote hadn't counted for 4 years because after I had a stroke, my signature changed. And so they didn't count my vote because the signatures didn't perfectly match. That's how scummy this system is.
Oh, really?
I've been
Wow.
living in town for 40 years, and these fucking scumbags were allowed to take away my constitutional right to vote.
What state was that? What state do you live in?
Fucking scum Jersey.
You're in Jersey. You're back in Jersey now.
Yeah, every state is a piece of shit, so I don't even want to get into a conversation about what state is the shittiest state, because every fucking one of them is a pile of crap.
Well, New Jersey's the butt of so many jokes, of course.
Yeah, I know. Well, the other places are not the butt of jokes because there's not enough people living in them to even write a joke. I mean, 40% of the states have a population of under 2 billion, right?
So, you mean 2 million?
2 million, that's what I said.
Yeah. California just got voted the single worst quality of life of the 50 states by one of these great place to live ratings. It's now number 50 or 50.
Whatever, I don't want to argue that crap, but it obviously doesn't mean anything because I've been to San Diego, and it's one of the best places in the earth to live. I mean, there are places on this earth that are perfect, and San Diego is one of them.
Why don't you move to San Diego then?
Well, because I don't move. I mean, it's part of my anxiety, so I don't travel well. So I'm going to die in this little hovel I'm living in now, and this is my last stop, so to speak.
So you're just digging your boot heels in where you are, and just, you can't run and hide from this shit. I'm telling people that all the time. Just pick a place and stand your ground.
Well, yeah, they say you want to get into some philosophy, but in my opinion, it just doesn't matter where you are. It's all a head game. Okay, yeah. Life is a head game. It's all in your head. Okay, you either feel like a lottery winner or you feel like you have a tiny penis or whatever you feel like. It's all in your fucking head. Okay, the reality is insignificant. It's all how your brain interprets it, whether it's a crisis or not a crisis and all that shit. So the only game you really need to play isn't my geographic location, it's my fucking attitude location. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that sounds exactly what my mama used to tell me. Exactly. So I'm glad you're agreeing with my mama.
Yeah, generally speaking, don't have much respect for mothers. So, but okay, without evidence, I'll have to take your word for it. There was a mother who had 3 ounces of brains, but I doubt it.
So what do you do with your life when after you come on and you shut down your video from your daily rant? What does a day in your life look like outside of the little bit we're exposed to?
Yeah, I'd love to say you wouldn't want to know, but yeah, I have like live cams, I have other kind of shit going on. I have lots of projects, lots of shit. I mean, but I just exist, and I live a very simple life. I eat 3 kinds of food, pasta, rice, and potatoes, and beans, And so everything's just really simple. I live a real simple life, simple things, nothing complicated. So it's really not. I have a physics channel called Draft Science, where I contend I have outdone Einstein, and I figured out how the universe really works.
How does the universe really work, Gary?
It's all just particles. Actually, gravity's just made out of a bunch of energy pushing things together, and magnetism is just polarized, and it's all forces, and there's no waves. All that wave shit is nonsense. Relativity is bullshit. They never detected gravitational waves. It's a pile of crap,
Is there any logical order to the universe, or is it complete just random chaos?
Right, yes, it's just a checkerboard, and the little pieces can do little simple things, like photons move the speed of light in a straight line, unless they hit an electron. Then they make the electron move a little, and the electron readmits the photon in a new direction. But it's really mechanical, really simple. But over time, it can get quite complicated when all these little interactions are happening. And so, yeah, it's really logical and simple, but it doesn't mean it's good. It just means it's like the logic is bad in the sense that the logic doesn't take into account suffering. Nature doesn't know what suffering is. The universe doesn't know what suffering is. It doesn't know that it's important. It made it, and yet it doesn't know, holy shit, I shouldn't torture things. See, it doesn't have that knowledge. So it accidentally is torturing things and it doesn't know it. So it's as dumb as the lion. The lion doesn't know it's torturing the elephant when it kills it.
Yeah. But the whole notion of life, obviously, was just purely an accident from the chaotic soup of particles bashing each other in the universe.
Yeah, of course. There's no God, so yeah, it's just obviously you can go back. Like I said, we can find our origins in green slime. We can find the little strands of DNA that are inside of us that are microbial in function, and so yeah, still got salt water in our blood is salt water. I mean, clearly we came from the ocean. Our fins, 5 fingers. I mean, the backbone, same as the fish. I mean, obviously we're walking fish.
Well, yeah, when you look at us, when we're after the sperm and egg, about 3 weeks later, we look just like a damn fish.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that's what we are. We're fish that can sing and dance, but it's still basically the same game, right? I mean,
Eat or be eaten.
I make an argument about evolution, like different things you can think about, and it's like the invention of the penis is kind of a funny argument when you think about it, right? Because the cruder way was for the female to just dump a bunch of eggs and for the male to fertilize them, right?
Yeah.
And what did nature do? It said, well, the fish who gets there first to fertilize them, it's his kids, right? So the idea was, how do I get there first? Oh, well, if I shoot my stuff into the female where the eggs are before she lays them, I will be the winner. And so that's what invented the penis. The penis was basically a way of getting the sperm there quicker.
Yeah, and more directed, certainly.
It's the same, but it was obviously a rape kind of thing. It was just the idea that the first male fish basically came up with a way of making sure he got there first.
Yeah.
And that was the way to get there first, was to basically, poke a hole in the woman and, fertilize her eggs.
How they figured all that stuff out over all those billions of years. So what's your take? I know some of the answers to these questions, but because I've listened to you, but I'm gonna act like I'm someone you're talking to at a party. I can't imagine you go to parties. What's your take on life on other planets? Are we alone in the universe, or is this shit going on all over the place?
There's lots of rational ways to deduce that it's not possible that there could be other life, just because most of the universe is much older than we are. So if anything had ever formed that had any kind of developmental capacities, it would have a billions of years head start on us. Maybe 5 billion year head start. So just think about, it has a 5 billion year head start. That means from where we are now, 5 billion extra more years to develop technology. So you can just imagine how we would be controlling the whole universe by now if we had 5 billion years of doing it. So right there you can say, obviously, there's no extraterrestrials, because they already have all the roads paved out there. They'd have all the planets pretty. They'd have LED lights everywhere. Everything would be, navigational signs, blah, blah, blah. So none of that shit ever happened. And if you look at evolution, again, I always go back to evolution, because that's the only truth here. Is you just look, you honestly look at what evolution is, and you can answer every question. And if you look at what evolution is, it's a preposterous number of one-time events that we're based on. Okay, one time, only happened once on the planet, that the cells did the double nucleus thing, where the cell basically ate another cell, and it became the nucleus of the cell, right? That only happened one time.
That's all it needed to happen.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, what's the odds that something happens? It only happens once. It's had 4 billion years to happen, 2 billion years to happen again, and it hasn't happened again. So there's a whole bunch of those one-time events, only happened once, and so it's just an insanely improbable history that we have of preposterous odds against a living organism ever getting to this point.
So you don't think the universe is filled with billions and billions of planets full of sentient life? Obviously,
it's a silly notion. I don't think life is incredibly complex, and again, it's based on a zillion of these one-time events. Like I said, just the first living piece of chromosome that could replicate. It only happened once. There's not 2 forms of life. There's no life based on some other DNA molecule. Not one single change to the DNA molecule. There's only one DNA molecule on planet Earth. one form of the basic amino acid chemistry. Not even a variation of it.
Yeah.
So clearly, it's a tiny, narrow window that we shot through. We're like the miracle candy bullet. You know what I mean? I mean, it just this just doesn't happen. You just don't redo this again. And for most, look at the ocean, for example. I always bring this point up. Take the mammals out of the ocean. You know, the things that went back into the ocean.
Yeah.
What's this thing in the ocean? It's the great white shark. I mean, would anybody call that a win? I mean, the smartest thing in the ocean that developed in the ocean over 2 billion years is a frickin' shark. It's not doing anything great. Evolution stops when it creates the perfect eating machine. It stops at crocodile. It says, fuck it, that's good enough. It does exactly what it needs to do. It perfectly, efficiently consumes the environment. It wins. Let's just make them forever. And that's what it is. The great white shark wins. It'll stay here for 300 million years.
And how long so humans, we've been here for 200,000. Do you have any, are you one of these people who puts a timeline? What's your prediction for how long the human race has left on this planet at the rate we're going?
What form of human race we're talking about? I mean, you know, like I said, you can't accidentally do a good job of extermination. You know what I mean? You want to really kill an infestation, you got to do it on purpose and you got to do it right? It's like the penicillin argument, right? If you don't do it right, you just make the penicillin weaker. So if you want me to tell you how long will civilization last, well, yeah, I don't think it's got more than 300 years, maybe 15 years. You know,
somewhere between 15 and 300. I like that range. That's about my range, 15 to 300 years.
But you know, that's not the good scenario for me. I want civilization to last long enough to do a graceful exit for the planet Earth. I want us to grow up as intellectual machines and understand our role here is to do the mercy killing. That's the rational thing to do. The rational thing to do is clean up this fucking cesspool, to stop this pedophilia, so to speak, to stop this child molestation, and to clean it up.
Is that going to happen?
Well, I'm just saying I have no other war to fight. The stakes are humongous in terms of the wasted suffering that is in the balance. If we don't make it happen, if I can't make it happen, okay, it basically makes the Holocaust look like a kid's birthday party. The amount of total unnecessary suffering that will be endured by sentient beings by doing this sloppy thing of blowing up half the world, nuking half of it, will be totally so unacceptable. The amount of carnage and wasted pain will be insane. So yes, the stakes couldn't be higher, so to speak. I mean, it's an incredible high-stake game, and yes, I have low odds of winning, but frankly, you have to play. You have to buy that ticket. You have to say, I'm going to do all the fuck I can to stop the biggest disaster imaginable.
So what is your view? I mean, a lot of what we talk about on this channel is people trying to predict, you know, just the whole Mad Max rollerblade. Take a rip on that whole line.
Well, yeah, it's perfectly viable. I mean, there's certain movies that are somewhat accurate to what it would be like that Postman movie was somewhat accurate in terms of how the world would turn into. It turned into a bunch of clans and a bunch of, you know, we go back to some of the guerrilla warfare and, you know, this rebuilding of nationhood would take place, but we'd follow the same pattern, right? The same pattern that built all the European kings. It's just the acquisition of these, you know, Attila the Hun types, you know what I mean? Leaders who acquire wealth, acquire the money to finance soldiers, and then they take over the world again. So all of that shit would just be relived. So you go to a little AK-47 nightmare for 40 or 50 years, and then you'd rebuild right to the same bullshit nonsense again. You'd be back to the King of France and Donald Trump running the world. Except it would be a much bleaker world where we all die at 35 because, you know, of cancer.
Yeah, the extrapolation for the cancer rate, I guess, is 100% of people will have cancer by 2050. If you extrapolate where we've been since like 1950 with the cancer rates, that virtually 100% of us are supposed to get cancer here.
the longer you live, the more likely you are. So that's part of the fact that we've increased longevity, so people aren't dropping dead of heart attacks at the same rate. So you're more likely to get cancer because you survived your first heart attack. So
yeah.
Frankly, I'm really not interested in doomsday scenarios and survivalism. I'm interested in preserving civilization, attempting to regain some dignity as intelligent organisms, have an intelligent conversation about our responsibility here. If we claim to care about children, then why don't we care about the children of nature? If we claim to care about suffering, then why do we allow so much of it to be just grotesquely wasted? This is our responsibility. Like, this mess is the mess we're living on. We're part of this cesspool, and it's our responsibility to clean it up, because we're the ones with the damn brain. We're the ones with the intelligence. We're the ones with the books. Let's use them.
Okay, well, I see good Lord, we're already 50 minutes into this, so I only got a few minutes left on this camera. So what I always do in these interviews is about this time is, okay, so you're someone out there in YouTube land, and you've been sticking with us with this conversation for the last 50 minutes, and you're kind of nodding your head in agreement. What the hell is your advice to any individual human listening to this? What the fuck is one person listening to your message supposed to do to make a damn bit of difference?
Well, you have to fight, okay? You're not going to accidentally be as efficient as you can be, okay? I'll give you the military line: be all that you can be. Don't waste your potential, okay? Don't get caught up in your selfish bullshit, your goddamn idiotic nonsense. Recognize that you can do so much more good by preventing the future harm. The future is gigantic compared to the size of the present. The present is a little tiny thing. Your life is minusculely tiny compared to the welfare that is at stake in the future. And the fact that we're doing this deficit spending and spending our kids' money, it's all part of the grotesque hypocrisy. If you give a fuck about the future, you give a fuck about kids, you give a fuck about animals, then you have to fight to stop the harm. You have to stop we got 2 million feral cats in this state. Why? Because we have this sloppy, reckless, lazy policy about pet ownership, and nobody takes to take responsibility for what they're signing up for. It's disgusting and grotesque, and you have to take responsibility. I have no advice for people. I have a damn declaration, okay? I'll piss on your damn grave if you sit there and don't spend a little bit of time thinking, how can I improve my blood footprint on this planet? How can I fix, this mess? And that's your obligation. Fuck advice. I'll tell you, you have an obligation to your intelligence, you have an obligation to rationality, to do better than say, what's in it for me? If you're saying, what's in it for me, you got the wrong fucking attitude.
But I see more and more people on this planet copying that attitude. I mean, looking at hell, China, India, Brazil, more and more people are copying that attitude. Is my reading of it. Do you agree with that?
Well, there's more and more people being born to dumber and dumber people because we subsidize childbirth. So let's quit subsidizing it. Let's quit fucking celebrating when some moron who has 15 cents in their pocket says, "I'm a daddy." Fuck that shit. We should be telling the world, use condoms or you're not getting any fucking UN food, okay? Reduce your birth rate or you're not getting any fucking food. Fuck you people. There's got to be a point where you cut it off. You can't keep financing stupid decisions. You got to tell welfare people you're going to get more money if you don't have kids, okay? I'm not saying take their money away. I'm saying give more money to the ones who don't have kids than the ones who do.
Hallelujah, brother. This has been one of the main tenets of Humpty Dumpty Tribe since day one. And of course, every time I say that, I'm a misanthrope, I'm a racist and eugenicist. I'm sure you've been accused of being a eugenicist before.
Yeah, I don't mind telling people, look, I'll take a lie detector test, okay? There's no racism in my guts anywhere, okay? It's not about bigotry. It's about, I hate poor white people as much as I hate poor brown people. Yeah, I hate poverty. I think dumb people, poor people should grow a brain and be able to figure out their life is shit. What fucking right do they have to fucking be a god? They're God. They're going to create a living thing and provide for its welfare when they can't even provide for their own. For fuck's sake, they should be called idiots. put in a fucking playpen and treated like the fucking immature children they are. Poor people suck. Rich people suck. Poor people suck. They're great. Okay, working man, working woman, fan-fucking-tastic. Poor scum and rich scum, throw them both off the lifeboat.
The poor and the rich go first. So obviously you are not a fan of foreign aid to foreign food aid that's not linked to sterile. Mine is before you stick 1 grain of rice in your clueless fucking face, you're going to get sterilized. It's that simple. Either if you don't get sterilized, you don't eat.
I wouldn't be that draconian, but I think everything can be done with the carrot instead of the whip, okay? So I'm just saying I would offer people more to do the right thing. I wouldn't offer them less to do the wrong thing. So I wouldn't punish the criminals. I would reward the people who aren't criminals.
Yeah. All right, brother. Well, we have pretty much wrapped up 1 hour of, good Lord, where is an hour gone? I feel like I just sat down in this chair. So anyway, in the last couple of minutes, the way I always finish this out, and if you weren't talking to Humpty Dumpty Tribe and you were talking to Tucker Carlson right now, and he was sticking a microphone and said, okay, brother, you got 1 minute to state your message to the planet. Give us the 60-second message to the world.
Quit defending the mass murder of children. Quit defending the exploitation, the brutality, the torture, the stupid, unnecessary harm and death you are imposing on children on this planet. You're killing them for your silly comforts, for your silly delusions of accomplishment, for your silly notions of that you're winning. You are torturing children for that fucking luxury. And it's so disgusting. You should just find yourself so vile that you choke on your own vomit.
There you go. That was... It sounds like you've practiced that response. Tucker Carlson must have interviewed you before.
Yeah, well, not exactly.
That'll be the day. Well, anyway, brother, we are out of time, but this has certainly been, as I expected to be, an enlightening, out-of-the-box, even for Humpty Dumpty Tribe, somewhat of an out-of-the-box. And so for anyone who wants to hear about, I think you got about as many videos as I do. If you want to hear more of what Gary has to say, the way you spell this is the YouTube channel Inmendham is INMENDHAM. Inmendham. There you go, and brother, we do appreciate it. And
yeah, you can also find links to my videos and different things by going to donotgod.com.
DONOTGOD, right? DoNotGod.com.
Righto.
All right, we will send some folks that way. So I do appreciate it, and keep up the good fight, brother. Onward through the fog.
Yeah, next time I'll interview you.
All right, I'm available. I am available for interviews anytime you want to talk up and put me on the roasting block. I will gladly accept your challenge.
Okay, good enough.
All right, brother. It's been fun.
Take care.
See ya.
Right on.